Welcome to Skin and Soul. I'm Gwenm Carsley, a transformational body, sex, and soul coach, and I'm inviting you on a bold, unfiltered journey into the heart of our humanity through the lens of Eros. This is where we strip away the shame, dive into the unspoken, and embrace the wild, raw truth of our desires. Together, we'll crack open the taboo, uncover our deepest intimacies, and awaken the pulse of our sexual essence. Because real transformation, it's messy, it's thrilling, and it's oh so delicious. Buckle up, loves. Skin and Soul Beyond the Pale starts in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Hello and welcome back. I'm Gwenm. I'm your host of Skin and Soul on Transformation Talk Radio. I am also a body, sex, and soul coach and the creator of Luvology. And here on Skin and Soul, we talk about what it means to be profoundly human through the lens of Eros, which really means our aliveness, just streaming through us, our sexual energy, our central energy that extends to our entire life. So today I have with me Melissa Barnes, a legacy and leadership mentor who works with executive women, who's also the creator of the RISE method. She has also been a funeral director for over 20 years and still current, and so really understands grief and working with people either planning their funerals or with the families thereafter. She's also a mother of 3 children and has a husband and all of this. So where we're going to dive into today is this idea of selfless starvation, particularly with women. And so I want to start with you because I know, and I'm like, we talked about this right before, I'm sweating, like hot flashes.
It's amazing.
It's amazing, right? The glow. But, you know, okay, so I like to dive right in there. So first of all, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you, Gwenm. Pleasure.
And so, you know, how you got into your work, first of all, is really curious because coming from doing being a funeral director for 20 years, but then also in your own life. I'm just curious, like, so when you started to realize in your own life, because I know that's part of it, you said like you at some point you got to feel like you're a ghost in your own life.
Mm-hmm.
What were the breadcrumbs that were giving you or were they atomic bombs? Because I know for me, they were like, they got louder and louder, but how did that start to show up for you?
Yeah, and I would love to be completely raw and honest with this too, because it was a huge moment where all the breadcrumbs really had been ignored for so long that the atomic bomb went off. And the atomic bomb, when it did go off, it was in a public setting within my industry in funeral service. So if I backtrack, I kept having these intuitive hits. I was running 2 businesses, raising 3 children. My 3 kids all are competitive sports kids. We run 7 days a week. My husband and I are in separate cars going every which way. And this just kind of kept happening and happening. And I got stuck in what many of us get stuck in. It's just the way it is. It's autopilot. It's a continuous list of what do we do next? What's on the chore list? What do we have to get done? And the schedule. And I didn't necessarily realize it right at the moment, in that moment of darkness. I was totally disconnected from the people that I loved the most. And I was doing everything. I kept saying, like, I feel like the nanny, I feel like the maid, I feel like the Uber driver. And it's thankless work. And I was stuck in that situation, feeling that way, but not knowing where I was going to go to fix it. Um, so the breadcrumbs really kept coming to me intuitively, like, Melissa, you've got to look at the kids. You've got to build that connection. That was the hit I kept getting. It's them, it's for them, it's always been for them. And yet I'm pulling away and kind of keeping them at arm's length. For what reason, we don't know, but this is just like the pattern that some people will get stuck inside of, right? To protect themselves. And the moment hit me, standing at the front of a chapel, about to begin a service for a young woman who had babies, and her babies are standing behind me calling for their mama. And in that moment, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm literally dying in my own life and I'm still living. And I have every opportunity to fix this, unlike these poor babies behind me who don't have another opportunity with a new mom or their mom. And so in that moment, I decided it was time. It was time to waken up and do the work that needed to be done.
Wow. Yeah. And so when you think into, that moment that was so pivotal, like hearing these children, and I'm wondering, so if you can hear back, you said like you kept hearing, oh, it's about the kids or to connect back into their kids. And I also want to bring in your husband, right? Like the connection of like how that was, right? Because I think we tend to shut down, and I don't know for you, I know for me, I was like starting to shut down everything in my body and doing everything. And we talked about a little bit around alcohol addiction, that you work with women also like who just want to stop drinking and so on. And I know for myself, when I was in that crazy space of numbing out completely, it was just, the next thing was like, it was always around the next project, but it was also then at the end of the day of like, oh, I just need to release and have a drink, right? Like it was just like, and that drink just became a numbing thing. So for you, in terms of what were your like numbing techniques, right? Or the things that like, I'm not going to feel this right now.
Yeah, and I think alcohol played a huge part of that, and just sheer ignorance as well, because almost like a grief pattern. Like I was a party girl. I loved my 20s and I lived it up and I had a huge social circle, and this transition, even though it was linear, right, as it is, you meet the guy, you start the family, the career's already underway. The social fun drinking turned into who the hell am I drinking? like like you kind of lose all essence of who you are, and then the drinking is to just shut it down and stop the banter that's going on in the mind, and to stop listing all the inadequacies that I was feeling about myself and everybody else, because I was really stuck in a very resentful mode. I know that now. I resented everything. My husband, one of those people that I resented for different reasons. Not all of it made sense. So I did. I drank my way through that. Now, I wasn't like an everyday, all day drinker, mind you, but it was used to just kind of bring it down a notch. And it did become more frequent as well. So, really, giving up the alcohol allowed me the freedom to be more open to the work that needed to really get done. So that was a blessing for me.
I think it is a blessing when you think about like all of the addictions that show up. And I mean, drinking's one of them. And it can, some people smoke pot, some people are doing porn, or like just addicted to porn or addicted to shopping, whatever, like the list goes on and on.
Yep.
Uh, and just that, like, I know at one point in my marriage, it was like always around the next project. And I realized it was like this project wasn't done and the next project had to be done. And so it was like, just like living on the edge of feeling. And so one thing that I'm with you on is like, okay, so when you stop and you start to see everything that's starting to crumble around you, or that there's like this sudden spark of needing more, is what happened. I don't know if you noticed, I'm just curious because I know what happened for me. So like in your body, what did you notice like as soon as you opened up to like, oh God, like this all needs to change? Because I know for me it wasn't pretty to start with.
No. It's not glamorous when you have to look in the mirror and say, ooh, look at the mess of, everything that I've burned down. Look at the pile of ashes and rubble. And I think the hardest thing for women to really accept is the first layer of work is right here. It's
Mhm.
not fixing anybody else, and it's not about, demanding them to do their own growth. It starts right here. For me, as an over an overachiever, always busy, always performing. And that started in childhood. I was always hiding behind this successful woman mask. And nobody could see what was happening behind the scenes. So when I was willing and I looked in the mirror and I said, okay, I've got a lot of work to do, but it has to start right here. And I have to stop making everybody else wrong on the journey. I've got to accept, what am I doing? And I think that was the toughest thing for me. But looking around and seeing the mess, right? But also seeing the light, like, because it didn't get as bad as it could have. And a lot of people let it get as bad as it, seems like it couldn't get any worse. Right. So I think, opening the eyes and really just getting real and raw and realizing I own this. This is my mess. Let's get going. That's the biggest part.
Yeah, so when you look at yourself and just like, and I'm like, so like what kind of like, I don't know if it's rituals or in terms of like self-care. So even today, coming and doing a lot of work, what are some of the things that you do for yourself, like even today to claim
Mhm.
you, yeah, stepping into ownership of your life?
So routines really became part of it even before. Even so 6 years ago, routines began to take the lead, even just to start moving your body in a certain way. And, getting the flexibility, getting your body moving, feeling better internally, physically is a huge place to start. And I recommend that to anyone. Get into Pilates, get into yoga, just start moving. Even if you're just starting to meditate, that's a big movement. Now, my system for myself has transitioned, as I'm sure yours has too. It's this beautiful way of being where now it's not a structured way of life. It's just what is happening. It's the power of starting. And then you get to this moment, you're like, wow, like, look at how far I've come. But it's the power of just doing it and making it happen every day and to start. So I'm big into Kundalini. I just picked that up this year in 2025. Beautiful. A lot of yoga. I also do train with my kids as well, just as a family fun thing. They're athletic, they do sports, so I go with them. So that's just kind of a fun way to bring in the kids to it as well. Bath time, just sitting in the bathtub, listening to a guided meditation, lights out, candle going, and mirror work is a huge one for me. Mirror work, affirmations really changed the dynamic of how I viewed myself and my physical self, which was huge.
Yeah, and I think particularly for women, like I was in the dance world for so many years, and so that's and acting, which is all about, there's like the camera on you, or there's like, there's there and dance particular as well as like how are you shaped? Is it perfect? Does it look like that? And I think for women, it's this whole idea around what we're supposed to be and look like and act like and do, and having this umbrella of, okay, I've got to be successful and I've got to come home and be like the soft, loving, amazing mom and have patience of a saint and be like this exquisite lover and do all of it. And it's a crazy making machine. I mean, and you're in like, you said it, you coined it, you're like, I'm an overachiever. And I can tell you, like, I'm like, where's my next point of spa, right? Like, and
I love it. I love it.
and I'm with you, like doing, it's really important to like pick up things that are new and really nourishing. Like I did Tai Chi today. So this was like the first time that I'm like
Hmm.
picking up Tai Chi, which I'm just loving because it's very soft and forces like, I don't know, just beautiful gravity into the body. But
I
um
love that.
yeah, I love Kundalini yoga too. So I think it's so beautiful for the body and just yeah, getting in there and connecting spiritually. So
Yes,
when you
100%.
right? No, okay. So you have three kids, and I'm curious. I know is it your youngest is a daughter?
Yes.
And
Willow, a daughter and two older boys, 11 and 15.
And I'm wondering, this is just like, so do you teach your kids around like what it means to be alive in their, I mean, kids tend to be really, alive in their bodies, but let's face it, we start very young to have these expectations that society kind of puts on us, and, we grow up that way. And so I'm wondering, like, with your own transformation and your own journey, how is that affecting how you're parenting?
I love this question, and it's so relevant because my kids, they'll hear the podcast in my car. They understand, what I listen to, what mom does. My son came to me. He's 15. He came to me for some mindset tools. Sports guy, right? It's a big year for him too. So we went through like the athletic mindset routine. And I'm very open with manifestation as well. I'm presenting them with the idea that they can build, have, be, give, do whatever you want as long as you believe you can do whatever it is you desire to do. I'm extremely open with them about it. They love that. They think it's kind of fun. Sometimes we get into these like role play, like what would we do with, or my middle child, Wyatt, he's 11. He's very, very imaginative. So he's good and understands what it means to use your imagination to create the things that you want to create in your life and put it into a vision. He loves to do the role play. Well, why, like, what will you do with your first $10 million in your life when you go pro into hockey? Right. And so it's all positive connotation. So
Mm,
that's fun for the boys. For Willow, because she's female, and she's still already so young, and I have already witnessed her judging her own body.
mhm,
And so we get very open, honest, and real, and talk about that in in a capacity that she can understand as a 7-year-old. Yes, she's brilliant, of course. Um, but I find herself, judging her stomach because she's in gymnastics. She wears, the crop top. And I'm very open with her about, it doesn't matter what you're seeing on the outside. It's about how healthy you are, how you feel about yourself, how we present ourselves the way that we want to. And those are the crucial roles. Had I been stuck before,
mhm.
those open conversations would have been like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, we'll talk about it later. I'm too busy folding the laundry. Do you know what I mean? So the
Mhm.
presence of mind and heart wasn't there 7 years ago like it is now. And they also wouldn't have engaged in a role play. My my son wouldn't have come and said he's struggling with some athletic mindset. Can you help me out? And I would not have given Willow the talk about her body and how she feels in it. It would have been more of a like linear conversation about what society leads us to believe about how we should look.
And like, I know for me, I mean, spent again like a lifetime in this kind of work of being in the body, and it's taken me this long to be in and to like love my body, to really like appreciate her curves, whether she's got 5 pounds extra, not whatever lines are there, like it just to come to really love this vessel that we're in to experience things in, because we do. I don't know where, because our body types are a fashion anyway. It's a trend for whatever season we're in.
Right.
Um, and I just yeah, I want to speak to that because I think it's crazy that 7-year-olds, right? I also, in my own life, having family children that are young and have body issue, like body dysmorphia, or just looking at your body as a gymnast and thinking, oh my God, I don't want my body to change. Oh my God, it's like, just really hyper. Yeah. And so I want to bring in your husband too. I want to make sure we don't exclude him, because I think it's really important to, like, in
Yes.
terms of dynamic of the intimacy, and like how this journey has affected him. Because like you said, we like to do this, right? And there's that expression where we've got three fingers pointing back. We love, I mean, and it goes both ways, right? It's like you did,
Yeah.
you're not, you never, all of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so just like, what, I guess, first of all, the impact on him that you've witnessed. I mean, he's not here to defend himself, so, but just like what you witnessed in your relationship with him and the intimacy, and also like how he's maybe gone along with you, or like or not,
Yeah. Okay. So my husband, I would say I was more disconnected in our marriage than I even realized. Like intimacy was still happening and all the things, but I notice now, like when you're in the moment, Gwenm, and I'm sure you know this, when you're in that stuck moment and you're just going with the flow, you don't really realize the things that you're doing. The things I was doing was I started hiding my body, keeping a shirt on, turning the lights out. Um, just kind of always, and my confidence really was gone, like always asking, almost for permission, like, do you still think I'm
Mhm.
attractive? Which there isn't anything more unattractive to a man than the woman with no confidence left. But God bless him. He's got the patience of a saint. Um, the disconnect was when I was just always at him for something, the way he made me feel a certain way, or he hurt my feelings in a certain way, or I took everything personally, like everything. Doesn't matter. It didn't matter what it was, what he said. And like at one point I even said, "Oh my gosh, if I was him, I don't know that I could stay." Right? Always being pointed at, like you're doing this wrong. We're always feeling just like not enough. And here I am doing that to him. Like I am pointing that towards him, which wasn't wrong, which was wrong. Excuse me. So I think going from that place, by the way, he was so proud when I did drop alcohol. He is still a drinker, and none of that affects me. It doesn't matter. I chose to never go back to alcohol because I don't need it now. I just don't feel better without it. Who needs that hangover anymore? He was so proud of those moments when I, didn't turn the wrong way and numb out and get angry or all of those things. Through the course of this journey on my own, rising myself, I took him with me. But I
Mhm.
knew that, and I think we all sort of have this feeling, like a certain feeling, like if I rise and elevate, what happens to everybody else? Like, are they going to leave me? Am I going to leave them? What happens? And I think we need to put that into the peripheral and just keep moving forward. And so when you start to rise, you'll notice that everybody goes with you and they're meant to be with you, then they go with you and they start to rise too. So the relationship communication has opened up, whereas I would shut down and he would get angry and shut down too. So
Mhm.
we weren't communicating whatsoever in those moments. Now I'm able and strong enough to say, if he did say something that justifies, hey, hey, that wasn't okay. I don't feel like that was the appropriate route to take or the comment to make, or even with the kids. Like, I don't think that that was the right way. I'm confident enough to bring that across the table. Before would have just been a fight, an argument, a you did it sort of situation, right? The changes are huge. Even though he has not walked the same path I have walked, he still came with me. The intimacy grew. The hiding stopped, my hiding. The questioning of my body appearance after 40 has minimized because I still have those moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? But
But this
yes,
is new appreciation, which I'm just learning, right? So one thing, I mean, it's like we always want the body that we had yesterday or like 10 years ago. And my stepmother had once told me like a long time ago, she's like, you're always going to want the body that you had 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
yeah,
And don't even appreciate it in the moment when you have it, right? It's kind of like it goes by and you think everything gets magnified. And I can speak to the hiding, right? When just after a while it's just like, okay, don't see me.
yeah,
um, let's let that light go out, right? Let's do candlelight and have it really shining nicely in this light. But yeah, I mean, there's something beautiful, I think, first of all, to be able to go through all of these um, transmissions and journey, and to say, like you said, like people will often worry about, am I going to lose everything? And I'm going to speak to, like, I did lose everything. I truly, like, everything, my bottom fell out. And so many beautiful things stayed, right? I mean, obviously my relationship with my child, and the people that in my life are that were meant to stay have absolutely stayed, and the growth has been immense. And so sometimes you lose parts, right? Like you do, and sometimes people do get raised up and come with you, and that's the hope, right? That there's somehow this feeling of, okay, if I go on this journey, and it can be the reverse too, right? The husband, the partner could go on a journey, and it's also like, okay, so I can either fight it
yeah,
and wit, and say and dig my heels in of like, I'm not changing, I don't want things to go. But there's something beautiful around, like, I find like that like when you said like you have this stark moment of like things have to change,
mhm,
that this flow starts to happen, this beautiful, like there's an acceptance of like, oh, I don't agree with you, I'm just going to say it. Like the expression, the expressiveness is there now. Like, I don't know, I can just say it now most of the
right,
time.
mhm,
Most of the time, I'm much more able to say things with clarity rather than fighting my way through and just creating those walls. So when you're dealing with intimacy as you get older, so have you noticed then your husband bloom? Like, what have you seen in him that's like kind of changing?
he has bloomed as well in ways unexpected. He's a blue collar guy, he's a hardworking guy, he's super handy, you know what I mean? Like, and so we're almost polar opposite in that effect. I go to work with the suit on, and he is Mr. Handy Guy. The way he is connecting with his children in such a more sensitive, nurturing, it's very sweet, even with the boys, right? And with Willow. It's just like he has expanded himself out of this tough, kind of gruff, hardworking man into the moment where he can fall into the couch and nurture and be funny. Now he's always been Mr. Funny Dad, of course. But just the way he has more of a sensitive approach to the way people are feeling. That's been a huge expansion for him that I've noticed. And I've mentioned it a few times, like, hey, have you noticed this? Oh, no.
Always
uh,
Mr. Guy. I have no sense of
yes.
humor.
Yeah. But yes, I mean, the changes that he has made on himself, he takes it easier on himself. And also, he's willing to say he's 45 years old. My body hurts from the work that I do, and it's time for me to get moving and get into a routine and sort of move the body and then be open to the conversation of, slowing down on our projects, as you said, Gwenm, start one and kind of transition into the next and the next. And he's kind of like just a little bit more okay just to say out loud, I just need a break. I just need that. Whereas before he wouldn't have.
Yeah, because I don't think we've even allowed, I mean, in society in general, whether it's us, we're not allowed to have breaks, right? Especially as career women, you're supposed to be able to do it all and always have a smile on your face with your broom in one hand and, your typewriter how old am I? Your computer in another, and a child like on the way. I don't know. And then
Yep.
there's men too, right, that are not allowed, conditions they're not allowed to feel. They're not allowed to soften down. They're not allowed to say, oh, hey, I've had I need a break. I don't always need to drive, like, because their instinct is to drive. And then when that starts to, to admit that out loud is so needed in this world. Yeah.
Yes, let's drop the act, everybody. Like, and it's okay. And I just had this conversation today, Gwenm. Um, Somebody had said something along the line, they feel like they had failed because they've been working so hard on their personal growth and they lost their marbles last night and felt like they just, crumbled and now they're back to where and they have to start all over again. And I'm like, no, like you can be the most empowered, powerful, strong, iconic human and still have a moment of horrid sadness or anger. And you're just an empowered human having a moment. You're not a sad, horrid person living that way. We're allowed to, and it's all about drop the act and drop the mask because that's really the erosion of the identity that we're talking about is when we're pretending, we're acting in a certain way. And there's good times to act in a certain way, but then when we're performing or pretending constantly, we're erasing ourselves.
And especially when we're not aware of it. So, like, one thing I learned about just becoming, learning, because in my life I wasn't allowed to have any privacy, right? Like nothing, I wasn't allowed to hold anything. And so what I've had to learn, again, is retaining my privacy or retaining parts of myself that don't belong to anyone else or something that I get to share with someone, when I choose to. And the lesson that I take with me is one is always be authentic to yourself. So if you don't want to share something, that's fine, but always be true to yourself so that if I am, glamming it up for a minute or but there's also them and I lost my thought because I do that all the time now, but
Yes, it's
uh,
true.
gone. Um yeah, they're gonna come back to me.
It's
And
okay.
it'll come back to me, yes. But
I love it. Happens to me all the time. Yep, gone.
yep, gone. Yeah, that's what it was. So in the authenticity, we don't. No, no, it's gone. No. But okay. So I want to go back to for a second, back to being a funeral director, because I think that's like one of the most fascinating jobs out there. I don't know why I've always wanted to write a book around that. Oh, and I did have my thought come back, by the way. So I'm going to try to remember to come back to that later. But so being and working with people who are coming to you at the end of life to plan their funeral or those thereafter, what are some of the things that you really notice about, because we talked about a lot of people coming in with like massive regrets, which I think is so sad. Yeah, but you get that firsthand
It
connection.
yeah, and so I will write a book about sort of the memoir side and what I've learned. And I think when we talked before, it's working in death really drove the boat to, working with the aliveness
Mhm.
and seeing so many human beings, male, female, any age, it doesn't matter, with regret. Like, I didn't go here. I didn't spend the money and travel to that place I always wanted to go. Um, I've heard, I stayed in a marriage that broke me and now an elderly person. I never truly lived. I've met children of parents who didn't thrive in their parenthood. Maybe they themselves fell down on addiction or untreated mental health issues. And the lack of, a connection there between the kid and the parent is very sad. And that happens very often, more than anybody would want. But also, people are so, we've got to go, go, go. We've got to build the business. We've got to build the bank account. We're building the empire, and we're doing it all for them,
Mhm.
right? Functionally, we're doing it for them.
But for what,
Emotional, for
right?
what?
But
Yes,
so, like,
exactly. And
the
you're
thing.
not even there. And you're
Yeah.
not even there enjoying those moments. So here we are, just going for it on the hamster wheel, go, 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 not enjoying a single darn minute. Then we get to 90 years old and you sit down with a perfect stranger across the desk and you have regrets on your heart that you want to talk about while you're planning your end of life service.
Ugh.
Yeah. And people ask, Melissa, how do you go from funeral to this? It's so similar in the pathways of, what one taught me, one is receiving, the benefit out of. But the truest, the most saddest tragedy in this life, Gwenm, isn't necessarily at the end, but it's the life that was vastly unlived.
It does. It goes past, and like you said, everybody's, and I'll have you talk about your RISE method in just a moment, because I think this is going to tie in beautifully. But just feeling into going from one place to another, having all of these accomplishments. And it's what I said before when I talked to my son, who's, he's got his list. I love that he has his list. He's like, I'm going to get this award, and then I'm going to work on this project, and I'm going to get this thing. And I'm like, it's great, right? It's like this beautiful manifestation wheel. And I'm like, absolutely live the life that you want to live. And don't live for the next high. Like, don't live for the thing that's over there. Don't forget to sit in where you are, because it's magical. Like, I just, right now I told you a little bit, my mother's in the hospital, I'm in Berlin, and what I noticed, I'm like, I'm sitting around in this town going from one hospital to another, and I'm like, okay, how do I take this time and start to feel into the space that I am, into the place that I am, into the time that I have with my mother, where she's lovely and she's lucid, and we can have some time together in the streets and walking it and really appreciating the greenery and my alone time. Like, I don't even have my dog right now. I'm like, oh, and not being particularly productive in everything, because that's, we tend to feel like, oh, life's only worth living when we're productive, and we miss it all.
Mm-hmm.
We're missing our kids, our spouses, our lovers, whatever. We're missing the experience. So
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful way to go into, like, okay, so you founded the RISE method. So tell us a bit about that.
Mm-hmm. So the RISE method was something that I've curated over the last years. It's something that I worked and built myself. This was the method that brought it all to a head. And so I work with women, it's one-on-one, it's tailored. I have a certain way of getting through the 6 modules that I've built in. But what it's for, I think the biggest part is for executive women, entrepreneurs, high achieving women who are building businesses, careers, and families who find themselves on the wheel, in the hamster wheel. They're stuck in the doing, in the masculine energy of the doing, and maybe even so stuck that they don't even realize that being is actually what your legacy is meant to be. So hiding behind the success on paper, you've checked all the boxes, but behind in here, you're just like, ugh, is this really it?
Mhm.
So this isn't about burning down your life because you're unhappy. It's about getting reconnected into who you really desire to be, not the woman you used to be, the woman you are meant to be, and really get in and release everything that's holding you back. We have belief systems. We have barriers holding us back. We have things we've been carrying since we were 5, holding us down, creating a belief about ourselves. We may have trauma that we have never released or worked with, grief, a huge one. And I think for us, for females, particularly after motherhood, we grieve the version of ourselves we were before. As you said, the body, the way we were, no wrinkles, no gray hair. We grieve all of those. The RISE method is designed to release those traumas and barriers, integrate back into your relationships as the new woman, and then elevate and rise.
Yeah, and and there's something I want to just like attest to, that there's nothing wrong with burning down like the to the soil, right? To re-nourish the soil. And that doesn't mean that you're necessarily running off and joining the circus. It doesn't mean like, oh my God, I've discovered this new part. It might, but like chances are you become truer to yourself. And I think that's the thing that people miss, is that this isn't about doing and becoming somebody else. It's
Mhm.
about home to yourself in a very real way that says, oh, this is what fills me. This is what like
Mhm.
makes it all worthwhile, whether, you continue to do like amazing achievements in your career or not, right? Like it's like
Yeah.
it's like it then suddenly brings meaning to what you're doing, including your relationships. Like I'm like, as we get older, like
Yeah.
how do for me, I'm like, I always say I'm a connection junkie. So I'm like, to me, there's nothing else but connecting with people, and connecting with life, because
Mhm.
you know, who cares? The legacy is what you call yourself, a legacy and leadership mentor.
Mhm.
And that's like, I love that, by the way. That's just
Thank you.
like, the legacy that's what we're leaving behind. Um, it's not going to be the tangibles, really, like the tangibles, right? Like all
Yeah.
the tips that we ticked off. It's how did we live life?
Yeah.
Um, and how what we witnessed in our parents, like I see today, my father, my mother, my grandmother, all of these people in my life, and particularly women who have devoted so much to everyone else around them, and did it to a degree of sometimes like literally putting themselves to the point of death, right? Like getting themselves sick, so that because they've got nothing left to give and they're completely depleted.
That's right.
Uh, And that
I
goes
know.
back to saying like how you felt like a ghost in your life.
Yeah. And it's a very real feeling, but you almost don't feel it until you become aware of it. And then once you do, you can't unsee it or unfeel it. And, that's why the legacy part of my work is the biggest part. And that ties in beautifully with my aspect as in the grief care industry. We are the legacy right here, right now. It's not about the stuff or the fortune or the amount of people that you knew. Your eulogy will be spoken one day by people that it is my mission, by people who truly saw you for who you are, the woman you were meant to be, and just this beautiful essence of you, and that you led them in just a beautiful way that felt natural and real to you. That's what the end of life means you get a story of all the beautiful things you did while you were here. And I think that's missing. It's missing a lot.
Yeah, and to feel seen now, like I mean, one thing that I'm realizing is, I mean, not everybody's going to see you, but I do feel like showing up in this world as you, as much as, like in your presence, is so powerful, because most people don't do that. They don't even know how. They can't even dream of showing up as themselves and being seen and taking the risk and having the courage to do that. And to me, I'm like, the sacrifice, the cost of doing, not showing up for yourself and not feeling you like really. And I wanted to ask you one more time, like, what does it feel like in your body, like when you, like, now that you've stepped into your body, what is some of the yummy juiciness in you that you really like, realized from before,
Mhm.
that's like differentiated from before?
like internally in the body. For me, it almost felt like I was so caged, like in a corset, tight, shallow. You know what I mean? Like, and so now just the real expansive feeling, not metaphorically even, it's just that everything is expanded, beautifully comfortable, in my element, dripping with confidence at the right times, and just being able to let it go. Like just, let it go. When you've got 3 kids, sometimes you just have to look over and let it go.
Mhm. Don't flip the
um,
smoke up, right?
just pick your moment and just kind of let it go. But there too, just having that soft element come back, that more, it's intimate with your partner, but it's also very intimate with your children. And especially when they're younger, where you can just be with them, put the phone away and be comfortable, talk about their day. We love our kids. We want to show them, mirror, right? Be the mirror for them. That's been the biggest part for me.
Yeah,
Um,
put the phone away. That's a biggie. Put the phone away.
oh
I'm
my
just
gosh.
go out somewhere and just put the phone away. I'm learning to go to dinner with friends, and the instinct is, oh, I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to, answer this question, like, you can't remember something, or you want to take a picture, and it's like, no, just be in the here and now. Like, allow conversation to flow. Allow it to be uncomfortable when you have nothing to say, or when it's, when there's like the
No,
blank silence, instead of like, how do I reach for something to save me? Like, that's where I think really deep intimacy lies. And so, okay, so I hate to cut it short, because I do want to get through my 10 questions, which I'm going to end this with.
yeah.
Time go by so quickly. So, and definitely, if there's anything that you want to add at the end of the show, please feel free, including your website and how women can get in touch with you and so on.
Okay.
Um, but so these are my closing questions. They are still a living, moving entity as I go in there. They're based on James Lipton's questions, who are based on Bernard Pivot's, and these are my versions. So, what is one truth your body has always known that your mind took years to catch up to?
That I am meant to be seen with a message, and I'm meant to take it big and be big and get out there with it. I've always
Amazing.
known that.
So, what is the most intimate moment you've ever had that has nothing to do with sex?
Hmm. I think the most intimate moment was sitting having a very heartfelt conversation um, with my mom and dad, because I'm in business with them in the funeral side. They are still working. It was a very intimate moment when I had to say to them, you know, this is what I really would love to do. And I am already doing it. But there's a very good chance at some point that I will need to step down out of my role here and take the lead in my own life for my own mission.
Mm,
And it was a beautiful moment because they always knew, right? As profound as I am here, that my soul is elsewhere.
mm. Thank you. So, if you could be remembered for one sensation you gave someone, what would it be? Yeah, there we go.
I think that the biggest thing is just to have the allowance in someone's life to access what they truly want and what they would truly love, and understand that it's okay to want the things that they want without barriers.
Yeah. Here to that.
Hmm.
Now, if pleasure were a language, what would your first word be?
Ooh. Spicy.
Ooh, I like it. And if your erotic life had a title, like a novel or a film, what would it be called?
Ooh, these are good. I'm glad that I didn't pre-look at your questions. Okay. So if my erotic life was a novel, what would the title be, essentially?
Yes.
Hmm. I want to, something is like sparking to me like the marble saddle or something like that. It's like a little bit fancy and a little bit erotic. You know what I mean? Like a little bit raw and a little bit fancy.
Yeah, I love it. Now, what's one thing you've never said out loud, but you wish someone would ask you about?
I I wish that someone would ask me about my little girl childhood growing
Mm,
up with my great grandparents. And I wish that someone would ask me about that. And I don't talk about it out loud.
mm, okay, I should have asked. At a time, right?
Next time.
Next time. Now, what part of your erotic self are you still afraid to bring to the light?
Ooh, I am working on the confidence to take the lead and be a little bit more assertive in that nature and do so confidently as the powerful woman.
So, taking on the Dom, a little bit of Dom, a little bit of power role.
A little bit. And that's something that I would have done at 21, kind of lost along the way. Now at 41, we'll have to bring a little bit more of that back.
Yeah, there's some role play fun that could happen there. Maybe
Yeah, good idea. On a Friday. Good
on a
idea, Gwenm.
Friday, on a Friday. It's Friday. Anything can happen. Um, what dies in you when you pretend, and what comes alive when you don't? When you don't.
Ooh, my joy dies when I pretend. Anger takes over. Um, and my my eyes twinkle when I'm in my moment. Again, I can feel the brightness in my eyes and my expression on my face. Otherwise, I'm like, I frowned a lot before. So yeah, I think that's fair.
See, and that's like the instant wrinkle eraser right there is the smile,
It's
right?
true. Absolutely.
Now finish this sentence. This will be a good one for you. When I leave this life, I want my skin to remember.
The beautiful hot summer sun and the sand beneath my toes.
Hmm. And finally, lastly, if the soul has a scent, what does yours smell like today?
Lavender.
Mm, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. So we are wrapping up. We just have a few minutes. Those are beautiful, by the way. I love that. And I'm glad
That
you
was
didn't look
so much
either.
fun.
Good, good, good. So I just want to ask you if there's anything that you want to share. Certainly your website, any information, if anybody wants to get a hold of you.
Mm, thank you, Gwenm. So anyone can find my website. It's melissabarnescoaching.vip. I've got a free resource up in the website for you. You can take and download that right away. There is some information about the rise. Of course, you can contact me through the website. And also, if you are a woman who might be feeling like you're stuck in the autopilot phase and you're just not thriving anymore, you're just doing day in, day out, waiting for the next 24 hours to cycle by, and you wonder, if you're really connecting with your kids, or you feel like that's the tug for you, your marriage, your kids, that you want more from that, reach out. You can book a call right in there, the Rise call. It's free to have with me. Even just talk it out can feel so, so good. So you can get all of my contact details from melissabarnescoaching.vip.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to invite everyone again into sending in moon letters. I am waiting for your creative juices to reveal some of your secrets, your longings, your desires, your stories. I want them. Send them to info@luvology.com. And otherwise, I will see you again next week. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening to Skin and Soul with me, Gwenm. Join me Fridays at 10 a.m. PST on Transformation Talk Radio. Catch the podcast anytime on your favorite platforms. You can follow me on Instagram @Luvology. Ready to take the next step? Book a compatibility call with me at gwenmcarsley.com.